Om Sri Sai Ram, and welcome to the next episode of Tuning Into Sai, a podcast series offered by Sri Sai Centre of Mill Hill. In today's episode, I am joined by Divij Desai. Brother Divij was born in Mumbai, India, and moved to the UK in 2012. He is currently a management consultant in banking and capital markets by profession. Brother has been in Swami's fold since birth and part of Mill Hill Sai Centre for over 11 years. Brother studied in Swami's University for 7 years from 2001 to 2008, where he completed his Bachelors and Masters in Physics, as well as his MBA. He was also fortunate to physically serve Swami for 3.5 years, including pushing Swami's wheelchair. Brother has previously conducted LOTUS Balvikas classes at Mill Hill Sai Centre and has regularly been supporting the Balvikas wing since 2022. He also served as Joint Deputy Spiritual Coordinator from 2016 to 2017. Sai Ram, and welcome, brother, and looking forward to hearing your experiences. To start things off, can you share about how you first encountered Swami in your life? I know he was part of your life since birth, but what was that moment when you started to understand who he is?
Sure. Offering my humble pranams at Bhagawan's Lotus Feet. And thank you, Sahil, for this opportunity. Very fond memory of this first interaction. And as you rightly said, that I was born in a Swami Sai family. But that first interaction was as a Balvika student back in 1992. Swami had come to Mumbai and we had this session in Dharmakshetra where Balvika students were invited to sit in a beautiful garden called the Anand Kutir, which is right opposite Swami's residence, Sathya. And all the Balvika students were seated next to this stage that was made, and it was a very unique stage decoration that I still remember. There was a coconut, and Swami's chair was, in the coconut, and Swami had to go and sit there. And that first memory of me seeing Swami was Swami walking down, coming from Satyadip all the way to Anand Kutir. And that memory is so vivid still in my mind, because this was the first time when typically when you say when the cup hits the lip or pen comes to paper, it's the first time seeing Swami in physical form after having looked at him in photos and videos. And there was no interaction with Swami then, but that walk that Bhagawan took from Satyadip all the way to his chair in Anand Kutir was just superb and magnificent. And it's still very, very bright in my mind. And that was my first memory of seeing Bhagawan in his divine form walk down the earth.
Yes, and did you, obviously because you grew up knowing that this is God, what was that? Did you feel this is God in front of me immediately?
Literally. Yeah. And that very moment, we've read a lot and we've heard, and I was a Balvika student then. So the only thing that I would have heard from parents, from Balvika's guru, would be about that radiance, about that effulgence that Swami has, that aura that Bhagawan has. And it was literally that. Mm-hmm. So that walk was so beautiful, so pristine. And you could feel that Swami's aura, a very simple walk, looking at the devotees around, looking at the Balvika students, and that smile on Swami's face. That was so electrifying, mm-hmm. Beautiful, just magnificent.
Mm-hmm. And how from those kind of younger years, how did your relationship with Swami or the closeness with Swami evolve in those kind of younger years as you built towards the university, and how did that develop?
Yes, so even as Balvika student, whether you were in India or whether you were abroad, at that point in time when Swami was very much within amongst us in his physical form, the aspiration and the ambition was always to be closer to Bhagawan. And it would be a simple thing like offering a letter, or maybe back in the days, if it was your birthday, one would have like a tray of chocolates, and Bhagawan would come and take those and throw it amongst the devotees, or even having akshatam. So simple things like that was always inspiring, that getting that opportunity. And I think as Balvika students, we were also very lucky to be able to put up dramas and presentations before Bhagawan. So coming from Mumbai, we used to get a chance to participate during the Ashadi Ekadashi, and Mumbai Balvika students used to put up program in Sai Kulwant Hall and the Purnachand Auditorium. So it was all about how one can get chances, how one can grab that opportunity to be physically close to Bhagawan, because that form was so resplendent, so beautiful, that you just wanted to be close to him. And you would just wanted to probably have his Pad Namaskar. Swami used to give Pad Namaskars those days, or just touch his feet, or maybe when he's taking that letter, just get that touch of his hand. So it was all about that. The relationship purely was about how can one just be close to Bhagawan? How can one just be close to Bhagawan physically? All the way, and then it kind of grew once I became a student, in terms of how now that I'm a part of his university and I'm studying at his portals, how can now I get on to this individual journey that each one of us has, to be again closer to Bhagawan. And physically being near was one thing, but it, I would say, evolved into being dear to him as well. As Swami used to say it so many times, that yes, being near to me is what everyone wants, but are you dear to me as well? So that was a beautiful journey by itself.
And how did that, we've heard a lot of stories in the episode so far about the admission process and how you got into Swami's university. If you don't mind taking us through that journey and maybe a little insight into what it's like to study at Swami's university whilst he was there as well.
This is an interesting one, because I was mentioning about the opportunities that we used to get as Balvika students to participate in the dramas before Bhagawan. So there was this year 1999. I was in my year 11, and we had put up a program. And that particular year, in the morning program, we were just about 20 of us, and there were about 4 small girls who had participated in a dance, and there were 16 boys. So Swami was very happy with the morning program, and after the program, he came down, he took photos with us. He asked us our names individually. Now there were some students at that time who were in year 12, or they were in year 10, which meant that you could join Swami's school in year 11, or you could join the university in first year undergraduate. I was in year 11, so I couldn't have joined the very next year. And all of them were asking Swami about admission in his school or in his university. So at that time, I too asked Swami, and Swami said, yes, admission deta hai. But what happened after a couple of days was Swami had called the group from Maharashtra, from Mumbai. He had called all of us near the garage, the old garage where Bhagawan's cars used to be parked, for Pad Namaskar session. And at that point in time, he came, he blessed us. At that point in time, he said, come next year, Swami admission deta hai. Now, next year was actually my year 12, so I couldn't have practically joined Swami's university then. But I was again a part of the drama. And this time around, we had a bigger group. So from a group of 20 people who participated in the drama, the group size became 200 students.
Wow.
Now, the beauty of this journey that we all have with Swami is that once Swami gives us something, mentally we start building some expectations in our minds. So having had this conversation the previous year with Bhagawan that I want to get an admission in his university, and Swami mentioning that, yes, come next year, Swami admission deta hai. I was very confident that this time around, again, we will have the same similar program. Swami would come, bless us, ask us all our names and what are we doing. But with the group size of 200 students, this time around, Swami didn't really come down after the drama. He just called the boy who had played the main character. He materialized Vibhuti for him, and the rest of us, he gave us Abhyasta, and then he said, Swami is very happy. of course, that gave us satisfaction. But the expectations that were there in my mind that, this time now it's a confirmation that I have to come next year, was all gone. And I was literally shocked that how will this now work? Because I was in my mind thinking that yes, Swami will now guide me and give me the next steps of what to do, how to apply. And this time around, we had again, Swami did call all of us for a special darshan, special pad namaskar. So I got up when Swami was walking outside, and this time I said, Swami, I want admission in your college. And Swami mentioned something very beautiful. Swami said, not my college, our college.
Wow. Okay.
So the aspect of that, Vasudeva Kutumbakam was something which was very subtly put by Swami at that point in time by just this mere sentence that not my college, our college. And then Swami said, come prepare for your entrance, and then Swami admission deta hai. And then he materialized this ring that I wear. And it was all very happy days. But the journey started then, in the sense that, yes, there was this experience given by Swami that he will bless me, he will ask me to apply, and I'll apply, and then I got in. But once you become the student, you are on the other side of the fence. So as devotees, we all have been to Prashanti. We have woken up at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning, sat in the queues, hope to get our first token to be in the first 2-3 rows, and then have seen students walk in at 6:45 and Swami comes 7 o'clock for darshan. All of that is such a wow when you literally are on the other side of the fence. Now once I went to the other side, when become a student, again, like so many devotees, there are so many students who come. So the journey of now getting closer, and as I said earlier, nearer and dearer, becomes even more, I would not say challenging, but it's a very different experience. Because now, yes, hopefully you don't have to wake up at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the mornings to get that first row. You have the enclosure where the students come and sit, you get Swami's darshan. But now that there are scores of students there, how can you still keep that fire and flame alive and be closer and nearer and dearer to Bhagawan? And that was a beautiful journey by itself. And as a student, yes, and this is very widely known as well, that we had 3 portals of learning. One was the university where we actually did our learning, the academics. The other one was the hostel. The entire hostel used to be run by students. So the practical lessons of life were literally taught and learned at the hostel. And then the learning that we all got in the temple, which is Bhagawan's Kulwant Hall or the Purnachan or under Swami's portal. So that 3-dimensional learning was an experience that is something which can only be experienced, I would say. That journey is something which sometimes you fail to describe, but it was beautiful because it did teach a lot of things. It gave a perspective to a lot of aspects of life where sometimes you don't really understand, but having gone through that, you really get a brilliant exposure to the way Bhagwan's mission, Bhagawan has himself carried out. So a phenomenal experience, I would say.
And do you mind sharing a couple of, maybe as a student, any close proximity interactions with Swami that are close to your heart?
One of the interactions, Sahil, was something which I really very fondly remember. This was my first year undergraduate, and Swami had just started Gram Seva the previous year. So this was 2000 and 2001 when I was in the university. This was during Dasara. So I was in the garage. We were packing the t-shirts, saris and dhotis. So the practice used to be that we give the food packets, which is laddu and pulihodre, to every member of the household, and then sari and dhoti is given to the eldest family member. There were also these t-shirts which were which had Swami's picture embossed, and they were there. So for that specific morning, these t-shirts also had to be packed and had to be distributed. And Swami came to the garage to supervise the packing. So as soon as Swami came, and then Swami was asking, okay, how many packets? What is the number? Which village are you going to? And I was there. So there were two t-shirts. One had only Swami's logo, the Sarva Dharma logo, and love all, serve all, and help ever, hurt never. And the other one had Swami's picture embossed on it. So when Swami was coming towards my side, in my mind, I was thinking that maybe I should offer this t-shirt which has Swami's picture embossed on it, because that possibly in my mind was telling me that, yeah, that is what the students would like. So I got up and I said, Swami, Swami asked Amy, so what are these? I said, Swami, these are the t-shirts that we are going to distribute, and this is something that we want to distribute, the one which had Swami's picture on it. And Swami said at that point, show me the other one. Mm. So I then removed the other one, and then I showed that. And Swami said, distribute that one. Swami doesn't like publicity. Mm. Swami likes his teachings. So the other t-shirt had love also, all, help ever, hurt never. And he said, distribute that one. And that was one of those learnings that Swami granted at that point in time, that, the mind is obviously going to be wanting to publicize, wanting to get attention, wanting to do the fancy things. Yeah. But the underlying message that Swami has been teaching us is more important. Mm-hmm. To be absorbed by yourself firstly, and then be reflected through your actions. Mm-hmm. And that was a beautiful lesson to be learned directly from Bhagawan.
Wow, nice. Any other experience?
Yes, this is one very, very close to my heart. This was in my first year under a postgraduate. Swami had just started talking regularly with me at that time. So every afternoon he would come and he would take a letter, or he would ask about the food in the hostel, or any favorite subjects I had. So it used to be like a daily conversation where he would just ask on any topic, and for a few minutes he would spend some time, and he would then make it a very, very memorable experience, in those days. So back at university, we used to have our sports as well. I used to play cricket, and I had so we had this cricket match. So we used to play inter-house. The relationship had developed and blossomed into that proximity that I did invite Swami, requesting him that, Swami, if you can come to this. The match was at the Hillview Stadium. That if Swami could come, it would really be very good for all of us, and we would really love it. And Swami said, Tappaga, which means sure, I will come. And then it was the day of the match. It was on a Sunday. So that morning, Saturdays and Sundays, we used to go for morning darshans. So Sunday morning, I go there, and Swami comes, and Swami, as always, sits on his throne, and then he calls me and then say, Amy, and then I tell him that, Swami, today is the match. I requested you yesterday to come and visit. I hope Swami is able to come here. And then Swami said, Dekho, aisa hai. So he spoke in Hindi that day, that दोपहर को Swami has a very important meeting. So आज Swami नहीं आ सकता. The moment he said that, he could see the disappointment on my face, but I just kept my hands together, and I said, okay, Swami. But then Swami said, but Swami will play through you, and Swami bless karta hai. And that I didn't share it with anyone. I just kept it to myself, and I was very happy that I got those blessings. And then after darshan, went back to the hostel, and then we had our game. That particular game was played in a 2 innings format. It was all played in the same day. But for those who possibly don't understand cricket, there are 2 innings in a match, and with stipulated overs. So each side bats 25 overs. And then eventually the side that bats second, if they are able to chase whatever the score that has been put up by side one, they win. So in my first innings, When I'm batting, I go out very confidently, having just heard what Swami has mentioned to me, and I get out for a duck. And it was to my shocker, because firstly, the disappointment of Bhagawan not telling me that he's not going to come for the match, and then getting out very cheaply in the first innings. So between the two innings, there was a lunch break. So I, go back to the hostel during my lunch break, and I go to my bathroom, and I'm having tears in my eyes, and I'm literally saying, Swami, what is happening? You told me you will come for the match, you didn't come, and you said you will play through me, and I get out for a duck. At that time, I was it was, and this is exactly the beauty of the relationship that Bhagawan forms, and then he teaches so subtly in that journey. At that minute, I just pray to Swami that, Swami, you have to play. And then we go back for our second innings. The opposition scores well, and we are set a challenging target to meet. And this time I go around, but this time when I go to bat, I'm grounded, because I had a failure in the first innings. I've had my prayers backed up and prayed intensely, but I was very, very grounded. I go there with Bhagwan's grace. I score, I play well, and we win the match. And all of us are thrilled. And then that afternoon we go to darshan, and then Swami comes a little late. He goes straight to the interview room. He gives the interview to the there was a dignitary who had come visited Swami that day, and then he comes out, sits, and then he calls me, and then he says, kaisa raha? So I tell him, I give him the entire summary of how the match went. And then the moment I tell him that, Swami, we won the match, thank you, Swami, all your blessings, Swami says, but first time kya hua? And that's how I could connect the dots and understand that this is literally Swami playing, and Swami literally narrating and enjoying that experience alongside me, right? So he says, first time kya hua? And then I said, Swami, yes, I got out, but Swami, with your grace, in the second innings, we all played very well and we won. He said, but jab first time out hua, to Swami ko doubt karta hai. Never doubt Swami. If Swami says something, it has to happen. So he pats his, thumbs his thigh and says, if Swami says something, it has to happen. And that was one of those lessons, right? So in a beautiful manner, by being instrumental in something that is so dear to me at a personal level, he's teaching and giving such a message that if Swami has said something, it has to happen.
Wow.
Beautiful teachings.
Beautiful,
and a great way to even teach. It's we've all heard Swami's discourse, and many a times, there are so many messages, so many underlying messages that Swami sends. But when it is translated through an experience, it just sits in your heart, and then there's no looking back. So those are some of those incidents that I got to experience as a student.
Thank you so much for sharing. So, brother, I wanted to move on to the transition where you started to serve Swami on a personal basis. You were pushing his wheelchair. How did that come about, and what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so this transition, Sahil, was again a blessed opportunity, and it had its own learnings and I would say joy that you also get through that opportunity that I got. The transition was it was not straight away onto a wheelchair. Swami was still walking. One of the days when we had a program that we had put up before Bhagawan, it was the day when our Vice Chancellor was changing. So we had the previous Vice Chancellor, S.V. Giri, and he was relinquishing his post, and it was Anil Gokak sir, V.K. Gokak, our first Vice Chancellor's son. He was taking over. So I was in my second year postgraduate, and we had put up a drama before Bhagawan, and as a commemoration to celebrate this particular change in role. So me and one more student, we had prepared a card for Swami which summarizes what the play was, and I was sitting near the interview room door just at the footstep of Bhajan Hall. And when Swami came out of the interview room door, we showed the card, and then Swami said, "Kidhar baithta hai?" So where do you sit? So I said, "Swami, I was sitting here." Then Swami said, "Sit here." So that's how my first, I would say, duty started as someone who would sit near the Bhajan Hall door. And one of the first responsibilities was, so Swami used to sit on the throne, and he had a footrest. So the moment he decides to get up is when the bhajans end. So he would indicate, and that's how I move forward, and I push the footrest, and then Swami gets down. So that was the first duty, as you may call it. And then it kind of moved on to opening the interview room door, shutting the interview room door. And then when we went to Kodai, so that is where I was, Kodai Canal, on the first trip in 2005. So this is where I started, because even Swami was walking then. So would just be around Swami, and when he's collecting the letters, then take from him, or if he wants kerchief, then give him that. And then once in a while, when he would want to walk a few meters, then possibly just offer your hand, and then he would take the support of your hand, and then he would walk. But later then in 2005, once we returned from Kodai Canal in Vrindavan, when Swami had his first fall, is when he then got onto the sofa chair, as we used to call it. So that was when I started wheeling the sofa chair. But one of those very, very poignant and very, very significant message that I got from one of my teachers was that just keep telling yourself, they would just keep telling yourself that all of this is an illusion. All of this is Maya. So while it might appear that Swami is on the sofa chair, Swami is on the wheelchair, Swami is asking for support, Swami, it is all Maya. If you keep telling that, then you will still be humble, you will still be grounded, and you would literally enjoy this responsibility, and at the same time be able to fulfill it with your best. But the moment it becomes that, okay, you are being instrumental in supporting him, then you may not like this journey. And I think that was a very, 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 very important message that I got from him. It really helped me a lot. There were like a lot of interesting times, challenging times as well, I would definitely say, because when we were wheeling Swami's sofa chair, you are behind the sofa chair, and there isn't someone who's guiding you. That initially Swami also taught us that, like he would, with his fingertips, he would give the directions, but within a few weeks, then it would be purely the impulse and the understanding that you have, and you would be behind, and then you would just wheel. So very, very fruitful in a sense, because once I became a student, I used to aspire to serve Swami. So that entire journey of aspiration, pining, having that ambition to be of some help or some assistance as needed, was something that when it got fructified, it gave me that joy. That this is something that you always wanted. So now that you've got it, do it to your best.
Very nice. And can you give us a glimpse? A lot of devotees that might be tuning in will not have seen Swami physically. And obviously you mentioned from the college time that relationship started to become quite personal. You could ask him, can you come, for the match? And what was Swami's personality like? Because from the outside, some people may have a different perspective, and from the inside, and that close proximity will be different. Can you shed a little bit of maybe a couple experiences, or just take us through his personality?
Yeah, a couple of things, Sahil. So you firstly get a full spectrum of Bhagawan's emotions inside the interview room, outside, and sometimes you are in awe as well, that Bhagawan is able to see someone and start having an interaction with the context, the phase of life that particular person is, and the conversation that Swami wants to have. That person or individual might be a very senior devotee. From there on to a child, who is maybe a primary school student, to someone who is a youth. And and that's where I say that the spectrum of interactions that Swami had, and how Swami used to relate to them and talk to them, and get into that context so easily, and then have that engaging conversation, was something phenomenal. But something that really wowed me, and I was in awe personally and physically, was the way Swami used to connect to the performances that scores of groups and states and countries and everybody that used to put up. So I'll give you a simple example. Bhakta Prahlada, right? That's a very, very famous devotee of Bhagawan. And Swami would have seen, and me sitting and serving Swami sitting behind Swami's chair, would have seen that play definitely 10 plus times. To an extent that a couple of us who were with Swami, we used to, joke sometimes that, again, there is going to be a Bhakta Prahlad play. And we know what's going to happen. We know that Narsimha is going to come out. Sometimes it can be interesting that, Narsimha just doesn't turn up. And that could possibly become interesting. So to that extent that, for us, when you watch something, and it's the same for any child as well, when you narrate a story to a child, maybe the first 10 times the child would just listen with utmost attention and with eagerness. But the 11th time or the 12th time, child would say that, give me another story, because you get bored. But with Bhagawan, he would have seen that, I at least saw 10 times, he would have seen that drama played over so many years, about 50 plus times. But every time Bhagawan used to watch that drama, and this is just one example, he used to get so engrossed in the play, and his excitement or his emotion would be unique every time he watches that play. And in my mind, then I used to think that it is not the story that Swami is connecting with, it is the individual and their bhakti that they are exhibiting, and they are surrendering to Bhagawan in that play that Swami is connecting to. And that is unique for every group that comes in place, because it's not a repeat that someone would just come and offer that drama again and again. It would be the once in a lifetime opportunity that they would get. Mm-hmm. So that was something which really I was really in awe of that. For Bhagawan to, and again, that is a lesson for all of us, that do not necessarily take the world as it appears, but go deeper, which is what Swami did. And the other thing that really surprised me was, look, when Bhagawan comes in human form, in my mind, there was always this thing that Swami should have something which is favorite, right? Like when it comes to food habits, for example, because all of us have got favorites, right? Like all of us like something and don't like something. So I always used to wonder, like, what could be that thing that Swami literally likes it, but with so many years as well, I couldn't really decipher that, okay, this is something that is a weak spot, probably you can call it. It was never. And that is a lesson by itself. We have food, we intake food, it is for a purpose. And one should not have an attachment with that, because that is not what the food is for. And there's such a subtle lesson that, and I've said this in the past as well, that with Swami, when he used to have his meal, there would be like 70 items. The richness of food that was offered every meal session was just mind-blowing. But to have that discipline, that food is partaken because it has a purpose, and hence it should be limited and it should be in its appropriate quantity, and one should not have attachment to it, was something which was magnificent lesson that I've learned, and it'll stay for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Just before we move on to the rest of the questions, any other glimpses or moments with Swami that you can share that maybe show his more humorous side or joking side, that you can give us insight?
Yes, I think this is something which probably has also been spoken about in speeches. So, and I remember this very vividly because, so on the gent side and on the lady side, there are devotees and there are sevadals who manage the people when Swami comes out for darshan. So there was once a devotee who got an interview with Swami, and in the interview she complained to Swami that Swami, I was very upset and I'm disappointed with the way I was spoken to by this lady at in the ladies block, and Swami very mischievously starts asking, and now Swami knows whom is she referring to, but Swami starts asking about this lady, and Swami says, okay, is she short, is she tall, does she wear a scarf, does she come every day? And then eventually Swami gets the description of the person that this particular lady is referring to. Oh, and then Swami eventually says, oh, this lady, even I am scared of her. And and the reason I'm able to say this is because I was there as well in this particular interview, because Swami had asked me to take pictures of the family. That moment, which was something which the lady was expressing her angst for, Swami turned it into a very jovial moment. But at the same time, Swami also, gave her the message that if there are certain rules that are something that you have to follow, and if there are people in place to make sure that those rules are followed, then you got to make sure that you are a part of the system and you follow it.
Right.
So it wasn't something that one could just go and complain to Swami and then Swami would just take care of it, right? So, and I think this is again a very, very beautiful lesson, because many a times we all feel that, okay, if you have access to Swami, if you physically are close, then the world would just run your way. But like with every other thing in nature that Swami has put in place, he has also put people to play certain roles, and that's how he kind of calls it as my instruments. They play those roles, and that's how the world moves on. So that was again a very interesting lesson.
Thank you. So moving on to the next set of questions, how would you describe your relationship with Swami, and how have you seen that evolve from sort of the younger years when you were a student to today when he's no longer there in the physical form?
A very interesting question on that one, Sahil. And in 2005, Swami had actually asked all the MBA students, the past MBA students, to come and gather at Prashanthi Nilayam. So there was an MBA alumni meet that was organized. So this is when Swami had started MBA in, I think, 1986. And so we had like literally 20 batches of MBA students come. And it was so emotional because Swami had seen some of these alumnus when they were students, and now they were obviously, some of them were fathers, some of them were even grandfathers. So to see that relationship between Swami and these scores of batches that have, passed out was something phenomenal. And after it had got over and Swami was very emotional, we were in the interview room with Swami, and I think the brother who was there with me, and he asked Swami that, Swami, some of the students, you have played the role of mother in their lives, because, some of them had the misfortune of losing their mother at an early age. And some of them, you've played the role of a father, some of them, you've been a grandparent. But what is the relationship that we should have with you? And Swami said at that time that the ideal relationship that you should have with me is that of a guru and sishya. Because if you have that, then you will always be in that mode to learn and to grow and get closer to Bhagawan. All other relationships will not necessarily have its start and end as such, but it has that sense of attachment. So, the relationship of a mother, the relationship of a father, the relationship of a child, brother, sister, has the element of attachment in it. But the relationship between Guru and Sishya is the only one where there is no attachment. And it is both from the guru side, the responsibility of the guru to grant that wisdom and the learning, and at Shishya's side, it is his responsibility to partake that. So have that journey all the time, and I think that's something which I personally also feel by mentioning it in my relationship with Bhagawan, whether I'm talking to someone or whether I'm in my altar and praying to Swami. I have tried to keep that as the consistent frame, that Swami, you are my guru, and I'm wanting to try my best to imbibe and practice your teachings. So that relationship is something which I feel has. And you asked me about, as a student, and then as a devotee, Balvika student, then going to become. I think if I was to see that each of those phases, and even now when Swami is not there, his teachings are still alive. I think that relationship still survives, because even though Swami is not there in physical form, the fact that he is still our guru, and that's precisely the reason why we even still come to the center today, or we visit Prashanti, or we are a part of a project or a program that involves Bhagwan's name, is because of that relationship again, that we have with him, where we really revere and respect him as our guru, and then try our best to imbibe his teachings.
Wonderful. And I just want to switch to a couple questions on the SSE Balvikas side. I know you've been involved heavily in Balvikas, especially recently. What draws you to the SSE wing, and what does it mean to you, I guess, both within the center and outside, in day-to-day life? Why SSE? Why is that?
I think personally, because my journey with Swami started as a Balvika student, it has that special place. Now, I do appreciate that today Bhagawan is not there in his physical form, and hence it is harder and challenging for today's SSC students, Balvika students, to develop that relationship. But even though Swami is not there in physical form, I think the best phase to develop that relationship is right in our childhood, because in our childhood we are open to accepting the teaching or accepting Bhagawan as our guru. And that's why to be there, and today I have my children as well, and whether it's the incident that I talk about, experience that I talk about with Swami, or right now they are very interested in Ramayana. So whenever we are watching Ramayana or talking about a specific story from episode from Ramayana, what draws them is this entire concept of Bhagwan or divine coming in a human form with a purpose, with a message. And we who are interested and who do get that opportunity to be within that circle, within that influence, are indeed blessed. So that joy is simply superb, right? And I think, and again, while we say that yes, at this age, in this childhood, is the best phase because you are kind of accepting and digesting everything that you are taught, you are also asking the relevant questions. So today I do get some questions, from my daughter, like, I feel very sad because that she feels very sad that me as her papa got a chance to see Swami, but she didn't get. And we've got to be ready for answering some of those questions as well, and explaining as to how Swami, when he's not there in physical form, Swami as our guru is still there, and how can we then feel that, right? And how can we feel it, whether at the center, whether in our Balvikas class, whether at our altar, whether in in our class, at school, or when we are with our relatives or friends. And I think that is something which drives me personally as well, that to be able to share the experience and then support or assist the thinking of the students on how to approach him now that he's not there in his physical form. So that kind of drives me and keeps me glued to the Balvikas wing.
Okay, makes sense. And you obviously have a lot of experience teaching in the Lotus age group and sort of the older students. How do you handle that interaction, especially when they start to reach that Lotus age, going into youth age? their relationship with Swami may shift sometimes in different directions. What is your perspective on how you convey to them about Swami during those years?
And this is a very, very interesting question, because even when I joined Swami's University back in 2001, so just about the university age, just like over here, once you get into after your A levels, you are at an age which, even when Swami was in physical form, or even when today when Swami is not in physical, it's a very challenging age. So we all accept that, like, anywhere from our teens till about 18, 19, 20, 21. We go through a lot of transition. We go through a lot of interesting and challenging situations, not only in our personal life, but yes, personal life around, in school, with our friends. And I recollect this very small event that happened once. So there was one day I was, in darshan, and I was feeling that today Swami is going to come and talk. So if Swami comes and asks me something, what do I want to share with Swami? And at that day, I didn't have any letter with me. So usually you would have a letter in which you would write something to Swami, but that day I didn't have. But there was this internal urge that, or feeling, that intuition that was telling me that Swami is going to ask you something, and what are you going to tell him? And it happened. He came, he sat on the sofa, and then he first called the birthday boys, blessed them, and then he called me, and then he said, Amy. And I was not ready with my ask, because it wasn't a day when I could just say, Swami, I want this, Swami, I want that. So the thing that came out from my mind and from my mouth at that point in time was that, Swami, very unsteady mind. And I was so happy, and at that minute I felt relieved that I have just mentioned that to Swami, because that was the challenge that I had, and I wanted to seek Swami's help. And Swami said, surrender to me. After that, there was no other further explanation or any further advice. He just said, surrender to me, and then he said, go. So it means, like, go back to your seat. That minute and the journey that happened for at least about 45 to 50 odd days after that was something which was phenomenal, because every time I would go into that state of mind wherein I'm getting thoughts, when it's like, I'm questioning a lot of things, I'm not very steady, I'm flickering between what I want to do versus what I'm doing, I would just calm down and surrender to Swami. Because that minute or that interaction would come to my mind, and I would like, okay, Swami has said, surrender to him. So let me just stop. Let me just not push or pursue this thought further. Let me just surrender. And I think it is so very relevant even in today's times, because when we are in that state, or when we are in that situation where we think that we are very indecisive, where there is a lot of influence happening, and you are in a state where you are not sure what to do, you've got to surrender. Because once you do that, Bhagawan has his own ways of giving you the strength and also the right choice, making you take the right choice. And again, it can be very much contextual, and a lot of perspectives can definitely be addressed on this. But it is his responsibility then to make the choice for us once we have surrendered. So that age that you talk about is something where I think, yes, there are a lot of questions that get posed. But at that time, if you surrender to Bhagawan and you say that, okay, Swami, you got to help me take the right choice, and I will follow you, I'm sure Swami will make it a process where he makes it evident that, yes, Bhagawan is taking charge. Right?
Okay.
And then that's a beautiful journey by itself.
Thank you. Next, I wanted to ask you about Mill Hill Sai Centre. You've been at the center for around 11 years. Could you please share how you joined Mill Hill, and maybe one or two of your fondest memories of the center over the years?
Yeah, my first memory is the fondest memory that I have of Mill Hill Centre was in 2014, when we had the birthday celebrations, and I was also participating in the celebrations. The day started, and I think Mill Hill does that every year. We started in the morning with Suprabhatam. So I came to this country in 2012. I did attend a few centers, and all of the centers which I attended, the programs used to be in the afternoon or in the evening. This birthday celebration that I attended, and later on I got to know that birthday always, starts off early in the morning. It took me back to Prashanti, because in Prashanti, the day would begin with Suprabhatam, followed by the Nagar Sankirtan, and followed by Darshan, and then the day would then grow further. So my fondest memory of that is feeling Prashanti, outside of Prashanti, miles away from Prashanti, but feeling that strong vibrations, positive vibrations at the center on Swami's birthday, with that Suprabhatam morning. It was in St. Andrew's School, Church of England School, that our center used to be previously. So that's one of those favorite memories.
Okay, nice. And how does the center, what role does the center play in your daily life? I guess we come here once a week, but I know many stories of the role it plays.
It plays a significant role, Sahil. So one of the messages that Swami had blessed me with when I was leaving Swami's portals was, he said, keep coming. And that meant a lot. And my first job after I left Swami's portals was in Chennai. In Chennai was 12 hours by train to Prashanti. And I used to come every month to take Swami's blessings and have his darshan. And that message that he said, that keep coming, it reverberates even today. So the center plays that role where it helps me to keep coming on a regular basis and feel his presence. So it's beautiful to be able to be able to do what he mentioned explicitly.
Right. So. Makes sense. Thank you. So moving on to the last couple of questions, and we sort of talked about this, but as you know, many young adults across the global Sai organization, they're navigating big moments in their life. Graduation, first job, business, marriage, kids, many things. What is one message you have for the young adults to keep Swami close during these times?
So back in Prashanti, look, we were studying, so we had our personal lives as well, in the sense there was a family always, which was back home. So events happen in the family while you are studying at Swami's portals. Even while you are in the university, you have your ups and downs as a student. But the one thing which really was the stabilizing factor, or the one factor which was always overpowering everything, was that irrespective of whatever would happen, both some events that would bring us joy and some events that possibly could have been a misfortune, we always knew that there is Swami, right? So I will talk about, let's say, some tragic incident has happened in someone's family, right? But the solace for that particular student would be that in the afternoon he is going to go to Kulwant Hall and have Swami's darshan. There is a chance that Swami might just come and talk to him about that. So we always knew that there is always a higher purpose in our life, irrespective of whatever is happening. Now, taking that logic into today's lives, we know that physically Swami is not there. But as long as we are able to tell ourselves that irrespective of whatever is happening in my life, which is got to do, as you rightly mentioned, that's job, marriage, youth, old age, health, wealth. If we keep that message that there is a higher purpose. So while this might be a stumble, so if it's something which is it is not in your favor, it might be a stumbling block, but there is a higher purpose. And at the same time, if you are experiencing some very good moments in life, some joyful moments, we still have to keep reminding ourselves that there is still a higher purpose, right? This is not the highest purpose. So the higher purpose is that connection that we have with Swami, that irrespective of whatever happens, good or bad, I still have a higher purpose, and that is me and my relationship with Swami. If we are able to draw out of a difficult situation by saying that, okay, this will take its turn, but eventually my higher purpose is Bhagawan, then it will help you to navigate that relatively easily. I would not say it'll be a cakewalk, because no situation is a cakewalk, but yes, that is where the strength would come. And at the same time, if you are having the happy moments, but you still remind yourself that there is a higher purpose, that will really help you a lot, because that will make you calm, that will make you stable, that will make you grounded, that yes, the ups and downs of lives are just the paths, right? So when we go from destination A to B, we drive, we have to take turns. It's not going to be a straight road. So those turns is where we tell ourselves that the higher purpose is to reach him, and that's where our destination is.
Lovely. So when there's good happening, offer it to Swami. When there's not so good happening, again,
Offer it to Swami.
Same, keeping everything neutral. Yeah. Wonderful. So just the last question. This year we are celebrating Swami's centenary birthday, 100th birthday. If you could please share your special birthday wish or message for Swami, just to conclude.
So this is again a very, very one of my favorite moments. It was Swami's 80th birthday. Swami was preparing to come for the morning darshan. So Swami came down the Purna Chandra auditorium lift. And the three of us who were with Swami, we had arranged for a cake for Swami to cut and be blessed as the first ones to celebrate the birthday on that auspicious morning. So Swami came down, the lift gates opened, and then we offered the cake. And one of the brothers had brought a candle, which when Swami blows, one of these candles where it just flames up,
Yes.
right? So it was that kind of a candle where, when you blow, it doesn't blow off, but it just flames up. So there are sparks and all of that comes. When we thought that, it would be a surprise for Swami. And Swami did that and it blew off. And Swami was like, what are these mad things that you're doing? Maybe pichi chestuna. And then Swami said, no, Swami, happy birthday. We want your blessings. We took Bhat Namaskar. And then we didn't sing the entire song, Happy Birthday, but we just said, Swami, happy birthday. Swami said, Swami is always happy. Keep asking yourself whether you are happy, right? And at that minute, it didn't really strike us, because, we have heard Swami say that in discourses as well, that Swami is always happy, Swami is always happy. But the fact that he said, and he coupled it with this message that keep asking yourselves, are you happy? Right? And that is Swami's gift. And then in the discourse as well, he mentioned that, ask yourself whether you're happy. So, as we near the iconic and one of the most revered days that we are all looking forward to celebrate, Swami's 100th birthday, the one thing that I really wish is that we keep asking ourselves that are we happy, right? And we've got to strive for becoming happy, because if we are happy, then that's the best gift that we can give Bhagawan. So that's something which is my wish, to strive for that happiness and give that as our gift to Bhagawan.
Lovely. Really like that. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, brother. That was wonderful. So much wisdom to take away for me, and I'm sure everybody that's tuned in, the experiences. So thank you so much for sharing. And thank you to everyone who's joined us in this episode of Tuning Into Sai. And please stay tuned to the next episode. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Thank you.